Whether on TV or online, this is iPower 1. Go to TuneIn.com, keyword iPower 1 FM. Listen online or download the app for free via Android and listen 24/7.
From the Hard Planet Media Studios in New York, this is iPower 2 This Moment.
President Trump used his first State of the Union address to praise Americans and the impact of his presidency.
This, in fact, is our new American moment. There has never been a better time to start living the American dream.
The president touted the growing economy and highlighted tax cuts and other changes from his first year in office.
Mr. Trump also condemned criminals who are immigrants, deadly gang violence, and the opioid drug epidemic, and he challenged Congress to pass immigration reform. Democrats greeted much of the speech with dissent or stony silence.
A CBS News poll shows 3 out of 4 Americans who saw the speech approve of the president's message. 8 in 10 Americans who watched say they believe Mr. Trump was trying to unite the country rather than divide it. The audience, according to our poll, was 42% Republican and 25% Democrat. Major Garrett is at the White House with details of the hour and 20-minute speech. Major, good morning.
Good morning. President Trump last night did something he almost never does, made the story of his presidency about somebody else. The guests he featured and the stories he told amplified what the administration has accomplished and what it hopes to do in the future, suggesting for the first time what's ahead is less about him and more about the country.
The state of our union is strong because our people are strong.
President Trump used his first State of the Union address since taking office to call for what has eluded past presidents, an end to bitter partisanship.
I call upon all of us to set aside our differences.
Mr. Trump called for compromise on immigration reform with echoes of campaign rhetoric.
Open borders have allowed drugs and gangs to pour into our most vulnerable communities.
He recognized the parents of 2 teenagers slain by MS-13 gang members.
320 million hearts are right now breaking for you.
And called family-based immigration a dangerous loophole that should be scrapped.
A single immigrant can bring in virtually unlimited numbers of distant relatives. Under our plan, we focus on...
That drew hisses from the Democrats as there are limits and long waiting periods. The president highlighted his first-year achievements, including economic growth and stock market gains, but made no mention of the Russia investigation that has put him at odds with his own government.
Americans love their country, and they deserve a government that shows them the same love and loyalty in return.
He suggested federal employees who showed otherwise could be penalized.
So tonight I call on Congress to empower every cabinet secretary with the authority to reward good workers and to remove federal employees who undermine the public trust or fail the American people.
The president also tackled North Korea, citing 2 cases of Kim Jong-un's human rights abuses, including the imprisonment and mistreatment of American Otto Warmbier, who died shortly after returning to the U.S.
Otto's wonderful parents, Fred and Cindy Warmbier, are here with us tonight. Your strength truly inspires us all.
The president also singled out North Korean defector Ji Sung-ho, maimed as a boy and later tortured by the regime.
I understand you still keep those old crutches as a reminder of how far you've come.
Congressional Republicans know they will run for re-election up against President Trump's low personal approval ratings, and last night's speech was specifically designed to give them space, if they need it, to say they identify with the Americans who represent the president's policies and not necessarily himself.
The NYPD is speeding up its timeline to make sure all police officers and detectives that are on patrol have body cameras by the end of this year instead of next year. Currently, the NYPD has deployed about 2,500 body cameras. The number is expected to be closer to 18,000 by the end of the year. While many say this is a milestone for the city, others are fighting the acceleration. Patrolmen's Benevolent Association President Patrick Lynch saying in a statement it makes no sense to accelerate the program while there are so many unresolved issues regarding the use of body cams, including the very basic question of whether they actually produce a meaningful change in the interaction between police officers and civilians on the street. But several city officials say the advantages of this new technology far outweigh any potential disadvantages.
They ensure that community members feel the power of transparency. They build trust through transparency. Also better for our officers. You get a clear and definitive record of what happened in any encounter.
The men and women in blue equipped with this new technology will be required to turn their cameras on before any enforcement action is taken. And as for if and when that video will be released, that will be determined on a case-by-case basis. In Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Emily Lors.
Luckily, nobody was hurt during all of this, but police say they struck here at this deli twice in just a matter of days, in total getting away with about $270. Well, the NYPD releasing surveillance video overnight of the men they are searching for. They believe they're searching for just 2 men, but you can see them there on your screen in that surveillance video. The first time they struck was on December 19th around 6 o'clock at night. You can see the man walking into Junior's Deli Grill here on Thomas S. Boylan Street, pointing a gun to the cashier and demanding cash. The entire time, police say he was wearing a skull mask covering his face entirely. While he was getting the money, police say another man wearing a black do-rag stayed outside acting as a lookout. That first time, they only got $150, but on December 22nd, they struck again around 10 o'clock at night, that time getting $120. Again, the men who went inside, police say the one man who was inside wearing a skull mask and a sweater. The other man outside was wearing a black do-rag. Anyone with information is asked to call police. In Bed-Stuy, I'm Katie Lasso, News 12, Brooklyn.
This is no way for this community to live.
Jonathan Jourdain has been concerned with this area near the Hunts Point drawbridge by Whitlock Avenue and Longfellow Street for some time now.
I gave DOT a call several years ago regarding the situation about this area and the conditions going on here.
He says the unlocked gate leaves the door open for trouble. The area is lined with trash and needles, and Jourdain says homeless individuals use the underpass for shelter and drug dealers use it for business.
There's a new park right across the street, and I'm more concerned about the kids in the community that can have access to this area. They can hurt themselves. Anything can happen.
While Jourdain waits for the problem to be addressed, he says the image of trash and waste isn't what his borough is about.
People should be outraged that these conditions are going on in the Bronx. Supposedly the revitalization of the Bronx, and this doesn't look like it's being revitalized. And this is the impression that the Bronx is all about trash, debris, and open gates like this. This is no way for this community to live.
Gianna Gelosi, News 12, The Bronx.
They're still placing food on shelves, screwing in signs, all the finishing touches before this market is swarming with shoppers. Welcome to Whole Foods Market 365, a special brand within the Whole Foods company. Instead of 10 types of olive oil, for example, you'll find just a couple. Overall, a smaller selection, which for you means lower prices. It's a relatively new concept within the company, just a year and a half old, the 7th such market nationwide. Store officials say Brooklyn is the perfect location for their New York City debut.
The same vendors, same product quality standards that we use at traditional Whole Foods market, just a more curated product selection that makes it more affordable, basically.
And people tell me they're thrilled to have more grocery options, especially with perks like this. It's a kiosk that actually scans your beer and then it shows you what food it pairs well with.
That's the sound of a lullaby, a sign a baby was just born at the New York City Health and Hospitals Coney Island.
We do have a breastfeeding channel, baby channel.
Right after birth, a group of specialists surround the mother to provide her with any kind of support.
You can kind of relax when you have your baby, knowing that other people are there to provide these services and to know that your hospital is baby friendly, and that they will provide the care comforted by you.
The hospital is part of the Baby Friendly Initiative, an education program providing parents with all the tools they need to take care of their new addition.
Through our visual checklist, through our interdisciplinary outpatient visits, and we also make sure that we check in with them to make sure that they're linked into the community, because we know that they have to sustain this.
Providing 24-hour lactation assistance and connecting patients with breastfeeding support groups.
This used to be a nursery filled with babies, but mothers no longer have to look through the glass because babies and their mothers now have contact 24/7.
Because now our babies are with mom and not in the nursery. And when visitors come to visit, we also teach them about good hand washing and how to take care of the baby.
Regardless of if a mother decides to breastfeed or formula feed, the hospital's baby units are ready to make a mother and her baby feel connected, earning this team baby-friendly status. In Coney Island, Joanna Hernandez, News 12, Brooklyn.
Good morning, I'm Jill Wagner. Here are some top stories from Cheddar on News 12. The U.S. Department of Justice and the SEC are now investigating Apple after the company admitted it slows down older iPhones so the batteries won't shut down. The government wants to know if Apple violated securities laws and if the company misled investors about the performance of older phones. According to Bloomberg, Apple has cut the price of replacement batteries to $29. ExxonMobil will invest a total of $50 billion into the U.S. over the next 5 years with money saved from the new tax law. The investment will go towards increased oil production in Texas and New Mexico and building new manufacturing plants in the Gulf Coast. And McDonald's new dollar menu is a hit. So are the company's new buttermilk crispy tenders. The company says sales were up in the last quarter between 4% and 5%. There are plans to open 1,000 new restaurants. And that's your Cheddar Business and Tech Update. I'm Jill Wagner from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Hip-hop stars were out in the Bronx yesterday, all in honor of their commitment not only to hip-hop, but their roles as positive examples for youth. It was an event fit for a red carpet. Swiss Beats, Big Daddy Kane, Dougie Fresh, Cool DJ, Red Alert, and Lisa Evers from Street Soldiers were honorees at the 2018 Element of HipHop Awards last night. The Pier 132 event recognizing them as hip-hop luminaries who have promoted the Bronx-born music genre and advanced the culture by instilling civic mindfulness in youth. Even some inspiring rappers got to showcase their skills. Cool DJ Red Alert received the Element Awards Lifetime Achievement Award. Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. co-hosted the ceremony.
It's an honor, it's a pleasure because when you're so much in the moment of what you've been doing over the period of time and how people observe you and watch what you was doing and everything and your body of work, is how they present everything back in return later on down the road. And it's an honor, man. I'm blessed with that.
This is a way for us to be able to pay homage to those who have contributed in hip-hop and also to remind the world that the biggest genre of music started right here in the Boogie Down.
Well, Windows of Hip Hop, one of the organizers of the event, is striving to create a state-of-the-art educational institution dedicated to hip-hop right here in the Bronx.
Meteorologist Mike Rizzo with your traffic and weather forecast update for this morning across the city. Temperatures are coming upwards into the lower 20s for the late morning. After morning, feel like temperatures have been in the single digits, if not the teens. It was a cold start to this morning with a northwest wind at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. And with that cold feel-like temperature, at least we have a blue, clear sky. So that clear sky is going to be with us all day today for the most part. Late tonight, we'll see some clouds build in towards sunset. And the wind gusts will relax as well. Feel-like temperatures will, of course, get a touch warmer, but it's not going to feel too much better for the rest of today. So stay warm, folks, as you head outside. The radar picture is quiet and dry, and it's going to stay like this for 24 hours. And then it's going to change on Thursday afternoon as rain showers develop across the area. Forecast for the next 12 hours only shows the increasing clouds and the south wind that will welcome us later on tonight to prevent temperatures from falling off too much overnight tonight. Today's highs reaching near 34 to 35 degrees. Sun, then clouds, a north wind turning southerly later tonight. And sunset tonight will come through at about 5:12 under a mostly cloudy sky. It's still going to be cold out there tonight, but low temperatures will hover near freezing, near 30 to 32 degrees. South-southwest wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour, and that blanket of clouds actually will keep us warmer overnight tonight than, say, last night. Clouds and radar right now featuring just that cloud cover off to the west. It's developing along with the frontal boundary that's expected to come through late tomorrow night into Friday morning. We're talking rain Thursday night. Once that rain comes through, it will transition to snow as we head into Friday morning. Maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow could be expected, leaving for a bit of a messy commute on Friday morning. Just keep that in mind as you head out the door on Friday, that it could be a bit messy. Saturday will be nice at 31, and the next chance for wet weather on Super Bowl Sunday.